Alright, let's rewind the clock and talk about a 15-year-old kid who didn't just play high school basketball, he hijacked it. That's LaMelo Ball, and that performance wasn't some fluke. It was the moment the world realized this wasn't just some flashy high schooler with a famous last name. This was the main character in a basketball story we'd never seen before. And what followed? Oh, it got even crazier. A signature shoe, deal at 16, a Lamborghini, a reality TV show, millions of followers, and yet somehow that was just the beginning. But hold up, it wasn't all glitz. Behind the viral clips and the social media frenzy was a kid with something to prove. People were calling him a gimmick, a YouTube baller who couldn't survive in real competition. They said his game was too unorthodox, too wild, too street. But LaMelo, he kept his head down and hooped. He didn't care about the noise. By the time he hit the NBA, he didn't just belong, he owned the spotlight. Rookie of the Year, All-Star nods, record-breaking triple-doubles. This wasn't hype. This was prophecy, and here's the kicker, he's only just getting started. The kid who used to pull up from half court in high school, now he's doing it in NBA arenas. The show never stopped. It just moved to primetime. Now you cannot talk about LaMelo without talking about LeVar Ball, and yeah, I know, the dude's a walking headline, but beneath the loudmouth antics and the wild interviews is a man who made a plan, and then actually pulled it off. This man didn't just raise basketball players, he built a basketball dynasty. From day one, Melo wasn't learning to walk, he was learning to dribble. Shooting on 10-foot rims at age 4? That's not an exaggeration. That's just Tuesday in the Ball household. And this wasn't some Tiger dad situation either. This was strategic. LeVar and Tina, both former college players, knew what they were doing. Now here's where it gets dramatic. LeVar didn't just want his sons in the NBA, he wanted all three brothers playing on the same high school team, dominating together. That's why LaMelo skipped a grade, jumping into varsity ball as a 13-year-old just to line up next to his brothers Lonzo and LiAngelo. This wasn't just basketball, it was a movement, and people hated it. They said LeVar was doing too much, pushing his kids too hard, but he didn't care. He told Melo flat out, if you're not going to be a basketball player, then what else are you gonna do? No plan B, just plan ball. Imagine being a 13-year-old, weighing barely 120 pounds, stepping onto a court filled with seniors, some of whom are future NBA players, and absolutely cooking them. That's exactly what LaMelo did at Chino Hills High, one of the most iconic high school teams in modern history. They didn't just win games, they annihilated teams. We're talking 35-0, state champs, ranked number 1 in the entire country, and averaging 122 points per game. Like, are you serious? This was fast-paced, run-and-gun chaos before it was trendy. They played like the Warriors on Red Bull, and in the middle of it all, LaMelo, a literal middle schooler launching threes from the logo like it was nothing. Coaches were furious. Traditionalists said it was disrespectful basketball. But Melo, he wasn't fazed. He knew something they didn't. He practiced those shots. His logic, a 30-foot open jumper is better than a contested 3. You can't argue with results, and the results were historic. Melo was hitting Steph Curry range threes before Steph was doing it regularly. Oh, and here's the tea. Melo's highlights from Chino Hills. They were getting more views than some college games. The kid was already a star, and he was barely old enough to go to prom. Let me set the scene. It's February 2017. The gym is packed. The buzz is already there because, well, it's LaMelo. And then it happened. 92 points. I repeat, 92 points in a single high school game. That fourth quarter alone, 41 points. That's a full game for most guys. For Melo, just closing act. This wasn't just a basketball performance, it was a cultural event. Within hours, it was on SportsCenter, Twitter was melting, and Steph Curry himself got asked about it. And what did Steph say? That's some confidence right there. Yup, even NBA legends were taking notes. But here's the juicy part, not everyone loved it. A lot of folks, including Charles Barkley, came at Melo and said the performance was selfish, that he wasn't playing defense, that it was more show than substance. And yeah, Melo did chill at half court sometimes, waiting for the outlet pass. But let's be real, 92 points is 92 points. You can't fake that. And when you're 15, still growing into your body, and dropping numbers like that, you're not just a prospect, you're a phenomenon. It was polarizing, it was electric, and it made one thing clear. LaMelo Ball wasn't just part of the hype machine, he was the machine. Alright, it's time to talk about the man who became just as famous as his kids, LaVar Ball. This guy was everywhere. Talk shows, sports panels, debates. LaVar was front and center, making outrageous claims that had fans screaming and analysts groaning. I'd beat Michael Jordan one-on-one. Lonzo is better than Steph Curry. Come on, man. But here's the twist. It worked. Because while everyone was laughing at LaVar, he was cashing in. Brand wasn't just a name, it was a movement. And let's not forget the price tag. $495 for a pair of shoes? People lost their minds. NBA legends mocked it. Sneakerheads clowned it. But guess what? We were all talking about it. Mission accomplished. And that's the genius behind LaVar. He knew controversy sucked coverage. He pulled LaMelo out of school, threw him into a reality show, built his own league, and through it all, never blinked. People said he was ruining his kids' careers. But if you fast forward to now, 2 top 3 NBA picks, millions in endorsements, and a household name. So was he a madman or a mastermind? Here's where things took a wild turn. After pulling LaMelo out of high school, LaVar shipped him off to Lithuania. Yup, from sunny California to a freezing town with 10,000 people, where nobody spoke English and basketball gyms were basically high school cafeterias with hoops. And why? Because LaVar made a deal. Big baller Brand would team, and in return, Melo would play pro ball. Genius? Maybe. Crazy? Definitely. But here's the reality. Melo struggled hard. He was too skinny, too young, and completely unprepared for grown man basketball. And just when you thought it couldn't get weirder, boom, LaVar launches his own league, the JBA, promising money, endorsements, and exposure. Melo dropped insane numbers, 30 points, 15 rebounds, 11 assists per game, but the competition was laughable. No real scouts showed up, no blue chip prospects joined, and through all this, he never complained. Not once. Not when the gyms were empty, not when the cameras were always on, not even when it was clear the JBA was a sinking ship. The kid just kept hooping. So picture this, LaMelo Ball, already a pro, in Lithuania, already the star of a reality show, already a walking headline, decides to go back to high school. Yeah, you heard that right. Melo returns to the States and enrolls at Spire Academy in Ohio, and from the second he steps foot in the building, the whole place turns into a media frenzy. This wasn't your typical high school transfer, this was celebrity athlete with a camera crew in tow, and an entire nation watching to see what kind of chaos would unfold. And chaos did unfold. Teams that were supposed to play Spire started backing out of games, straight up refusing to take the court against Melo. Why? Because of his pro experience. Some schools were terrified it would mess with their eligibility for the state tournament. Others didn't want the smoke from Melo's insane passing and deep threes. Either way, it was clear Spire wasn't just getting a player, they were getting a full-blown spectacle. You had TV crews, agents, sneaker companies, scouts, bloggers, heck, probably even a few conspiracy theorists showing up to games. Melo brought the circus with him, and everyone wanted a front row seat. But here's the twist, and this is what nobody expected. Melo was low-key humble. Yep, despite all the noise, the fame, the drama, Melo just kept his head down and hooped. Coaches said he wasn't cocky, wasn't demanding, wasn't acting like he was better than everyone else. He was cool with the guys, worked hard, passed first, scored when needed. One coach even called him the best high school passer he'd seen in 20+ years of coaching. And it wasn't just flash. Melo was reading defenses, making elite level reads, and leading the team like a veteran floor general. But despite all that, the Spire experiment wasn't built to last. The drama wore people down, the media circus got overwhelming, the school, despite the exposure, eventually vowed to never do anything like this again. Melo's time at Spire only lasted about 4 months, but it was enough. Enough to remind scouts he still had elite talent, enough to show the public he was maturing, and enough to light the fuse on what would be his final stop before entering the draft. Melo had done the unthinkable. He went from a viral experiment back to the basics and came out better for it. But the clock was ticking. College ball was off the table, and Melo needed one more shot to prove he belonged in the league. The next move, possibly the most important of his career. This is where things go from chaotic to calculated. With the NCAA out of the picture and no real interest in going to the G League, Melo makes a move that nobody saw coming. He signs with the Illawarra Hawks of the Australian NBL. Let's keep it real. This wasn't about luxury or exposure. Illawarra was a bottom-tier team in a league halfway around the world, and the team was bad. But Melo didn't care. Why? Because the NBL had become a proving ground. Just ask RJ Hampton, who'd signed up the same year. This was Melo's chance to prove he could dominate against real grown men. Not viral clips, not exhibition games, actual competition. And man, did he deliver. Melo didn't just hold his own, he thrived. He averaged 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists per game. He was dropping triple doubles, hitting game winners, and throwing no-look dimes like it was open gym at Venice Beach. And here's the part people don't talk about enough. Melo grew to 6'7" during this stretch. A legitimate tall point guard with insane handles, a deep bag, and a passing IQ off the charts. It was like if Penny Hardaway and Jason Williams had a Gen Z baby with Instagram clout and Steph Curry's range. Now, he wasn't perfect. His jumper was still funky, more of a chest push than a smooth release. His defense, let's just say he wasn't exactly in Marcus Smart mode, but he was improving fast. He was working on mechanics. His legs weren't flailing on jumpers anymore, and you could see it. His shots were falling. His decision-making was getting tighter, and most importantly, NBA scouts were watching. One NBL exec even said Melo generated 1.6 billion social media impressions. Think about that. Billion with a B. His game streamed to millions of viewers in the US alone, and suddenly, LaMelo Ball, the gimmick kid, the viral phenom, the Lithuanian experiment gone wrong, was now a legitimate contender to be the #1 overall pick. So after everything Lithuania, JBA, Australia, Spire, it all led to this. 2020 NBA Draft Night, the Charlotte Hornets select LaMelo Ball with the 3rd overall pick, and just like that, the journey comes full circle. But here's the kicker. People were still doubting him. Analysts questioned his defense, his shot, his maturity. Some said he was drafted on hype. Some called him a bust before he even touched an NBA court. And his first game, not great. Melo went 0 for 5, scoreless in 16 minutes. Twitter had a field day. LaMelo Ball is a bust. Overrated. See, we told you. But just when the vultures started circling, Melo flipped the switch. Game 10 of the season, he drops 22 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, becoming the youngest player in NBA history to record a triple-double. And from that moment, he was off to the races. Melo became must-watch TV. His passes weren't just good, they were jaw-dropping. Behind the back, full-court lasers, alley-oops in traffic. This dude had the ball on a string, and the confidence? Unshakable. He belonged. He took over games like a vet. Within weeks, he became a starter. Within months, he was Rookie of the Year by a mile. And let's not forget, this was all during the COVID season, with no summer league, a shortened training, camp, and barely any chemistry with teammates. He had every excuse to struggle, but he didn't. Instead, he averaged 15.7 points, 5.9 rebounds, and 6.1 assists, and looked like a future all-star from day one. Melo silenced the critics, broke the internet, and reminded everyone that being different wasn't a flaw, it was his superpower. He wasn't a role player, he wasn't a project, he was a star, and he was just warming up. Now here we are, LaMelo Ball, 23 years old, 6'7", and already one of the most dangerous offensive weapons in the NBA. Let's talk numbers. 27.3 points per game, 7.2 assists, 11.9 three-point attempts, leading the league in shots attempted. Let that sink in. He's not just scoring, he's shooting at a volume we haven't seen since peak Harden or Steph. But the difference, Melo's doing it with that loose, confident playground swagger that just makes everything more fun to watch. We're seeing him take shots we've never seen before. Pull-ups from 35 feet, off-balance floaters, one-legged step backs. It's like 2K glitch mode, but in real life. And he's not just chucking, he's hitting them. Melo's offensive game is so unpredictable that defenders can't even game plan for him. Add in his passing vision, those insane full court assists, and he's basically running the offense like a DJ controlling the party vibe. And oh yeah, he's doing all this while still getting better. But let's not sugarcoat it, the Hornets are a mess. Injuries, inconsistent roster, and barely sniffing the playoffs. Still, none of that is Melo's fault. He's been balling out. He's dealt with injuries of his own, missing over 100 games the past 2 seasons. But every time he comes back, he's better, stronger, smarter, hungrier. The defense? Still a work in progress. But when your offensive impact is this generational, you don't need to be a lockdown guy. What Melo needs now is support, a squad, a coach who unleashes him. And if he gets that, he could be the face of the NBA within the next 5 years. Period. And let's give credit where it's due. LaVar Ball, for all his chaos, actually called this. He said Melo would be a star. He said his boys would be top 3 picks. He said they'd change the game. And you know what? They did. The LaMelo Ball story isn't just about highlights or hype. It's about surviving the storm, thriving in the chaos, and becoming a superstar your way. And if you think he's peaking now, you haven't seen anything yet.